Thank you. Thank you, Pavel. I hope you talked about me. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sathish Gogineni. I'm a mobile QA automation lead at Badoo. Today I'm going to talk about the trust platform test automation and continuous delivery. How we have automated our applications and how we integrated with build servers. So before I'm going into my slides, I have a small exercise for you. It could be better after coming back from the lunch. So I have a couple of questions for you guys. Please raise your hands if you want to say yes with me. My first question, please raise your hands if you are working in mobile platforms. Thank you. And keep your hands up, keep your hands up. If you have apps on multiple mobile platforms, Android, iOS, Windows, Symbian or anything. And do you aware of the test automation tools in mobile? Yeah, thank you. And are you using the functional test automation, kind of any automation where you can test the functional application? Thank you. And my last question, please. Are you using the cross-platform test automation? I mean that you're writing the test cases and executing them in multiple platforms. Thank you. I know that you're from server, not from mobile, but yeah. I see a couple of hands here. So, okay, let's go into my slides. The first one I'm talking about a little bit about Badoo. Who is Badoo? Badoo is a social networking service where you can find the people nearby based on your interests and the location. We have 241 million users across the worldwide. We support the 190 countries. The application is available in 190 countries. We support the 45 languages. All the translations we do. Actually, I came after joining Badoo. I know that there are a couple of languages in Spanish and a couple of languages in Chinese, which I never know before. And we do this with 250 employees based in London and Moscow. So every employee is responsible for 1 million users. And all the revenue coming from each million users will go to your employer payroll. So I'm kidding. But we do have very good benefits in Badoo. For example, you can fly from London to Novosibirsk. I think I said properly. And you can drink the whole night. And you can, when the serious talks are happening, you can sleep on the couch, and then when the night is happening, you can drink again. So yeah, this kind of benefits also we have. So the more about Badoo, we have two amazing applications. The first one is Badoo, which we released 5 years ago. We have 50 million downloads in Android and approximately similar figure in iOS. We also have another application called Hot or Not, and we support these two applications in 4 mobile platforms: Android, iOS, mobile web, which is HTML5, and Windows Phone. So we do have lot of user base, and we have 2 applications, and we support the multiple platforms, and we do release frequently. Like some platforms we release every week, and some of the platforms we release like 2 weeks. And so this needs a lot of regression testing. Every time we release the application, we should make sure that it doesn't break the existing features. So when we started, so this was the reason, like 3 years ago, we started the automation. And what we have today is, we have a single test automation code base, which we run across the 2 applications, both Badoo and Hot or Not. We run on 3 platforms: Android, iOS, and mobile web. And we run on both phone and tablets. So we have the different designs, and we run the things on both the configurations. So from this, what we have is, we covered the 68% of our functional testing through our automation for Badoo. And for Hot or Not, we do the 76%. And in mobile web, which we started like 6 months ago, and we're covering so far 52%. And in Windows, can you guess how much we have in Windows? Yes. Unfortunately, we didn't find the same cross-platform solution for Windows, and we are working with the RPM guys trying to find a solution. But today, what I understand from the morning talk, the 2G solution, the same like Vinium. So we are looking for the similar solution, but I think now we can start the Windows automation. I hope. So this is so far what we have done, and we still long way to go. But I think we are going in the right direction. I believe this we are achieving by doing the cross-platform testing. Now I am going to talk about a bit about what actually cross-platform testing. So what cross-platform? This is the word Sun introduced when they have released Java. They want to have a slogan is write once, run anywhere. Write the code once, but run in every deploy anywhere. But does it work with the cross-platform? Mainly, if you have the native applications on the different on every platform, unfortunately, it doesn't work. So we should actually follow the three simple steps. The first one, write the test specifications. Write the things what you want to test, and then implement those test specifications at the high level, so it doesn't have any platform specific code. And then you write your low level code, whether it is application specific or the platform specific code. So once you write them, then you can run the test cases. What actually I'm referring is the BDD model, the behavior driven development. We're not actually following the development process, but what actually we are doing is we are implementing our test specifications as features, a set of scenarios which give the business value to the application, and then we will implement our high level implementation in the step definitions which supports all the platforms, and then you use the page object model which has the platform specific code. So this way we have achieved this cross-platform test automation. But why we should do the cross-platform automation? Because the applications develop with their own language. They have their own native language and they develop. Why we should actually do the cross-platform? In fact, to be honest, when we started automation in Badoo, we didn't start this like what we are doing now. We actually started implementing using the different tools. In Android, we started with Robotium, and in iOS, we started with KIF. But after doing three or 4 months of implementation, what we found is that the most of the logic, what we are writing on the test cases, is exactly the similar. It's only changing when it's interacting with the platform. So then we had the question, why don't we do the cross-platform? And we started investigating the tools. And the advantage we seen by doing this one is the pooled resources. You can bring the people from who are working on a different platforms and have the different knowledge. You can bring it as a single team, and you can implement the automation. So it's from an organizational perspective, from the company perspective, it's a good thing that you have the single team who you can deliver the automation on different platforms, and you can distribute the work more efficiently. And the other one is, since you have the more reusable code and you are segregating between the platforms, you can have the less maintenance. If the application behavior is changing, you can change your high level specs. If the UI is changing, you can change the things in the down. So what should be considered? The first point is, who's actually writing the test cases? Are the app developers or QA developers? The software developers in test. So my experience, my opinion is that if the software developers in test, those who are writing this cross-platform test automation, then it makes more sense, because you can structure the code and you can discuss with your fellow key engineers, make sure that it works in all the platforms. But as application developers, I'm not very sure that they like this idea, having the extra overhead of supporting the different platforms. And which mobile platforms? Because the tools what we have right now doesn't support all the mobile platforms. For example, till yesterday we don't have the solution for Windows, and 1 year ago we don't have a sophisticated solution for mobile web. So it's very important actually what platforms you want to automate before you're choosing the cross-platform test automation. And writing in the other thing we should consider is writing in which language. Are you writing in the same language as application is developed? Because cross-platform it doesn't support. When I speak to the people from the different companies, what they the people who are not doing the cross-platform, their main concern is they want to develop the test automation in the same language they develop the platform application. Because what they felt is that if you are doing the same language, you can get the help from the developers and you can do the things. But I don't think so it's a big barrier for us. If you know how the platform works and you know the language, then you can write the test cases in any of the language you choose. Okay, so far I discussed about why we should do the cross-platform testing. Now I'm going to talk about the tools, what it has, what it supports. So some of the tools what we are using at Badoo. So I would categorize the cross-platform tools into two categories. The first one is instrument-based tool. Instrumentation is actually a framework providing by the vendor-specific platforms which will give you access to your application process. So since you have the more access to your application process through the instrumentation, you can do much more, you can do any operations in a more stable and predictable way. So the tools developed based on the instrumentation is Calabash, Appium and MonkeyTalk. The other tools which I am going to talk about is the image recognition tools. These tools, you can write the scripts based on the images, where you can fetch the images from every platform and you can do all the QA operations based on the images. So these tools doesn't understand how the application works, but what it does is that it will do the touch and query operations based on the images, sorry, not query, the touch operations or waiting for some element, if some image exists, they do based on the images. So the few examples on the image recognition tools are Eggplant and the C-Test, which supports the various platforms. So if you don't prefer don't want to learn the language, don't want to go details into the language details, then you may prefer to use these tools. But these tools, if you're writing the complex test cases and if you have the more test cases, then these tools is very hard to maintain them. So now I'm going to talk about the tools what we are using. So the first one is the Calabash, which we are doing for the Android and iOS automation. Anybody using Calabash? I'm seeing one hand. Thank you. So Calabash is actually a very stable platform for both Windows and iOS platforms. So all the automation we have done for these two platforms uses Calabash. What is Calabash? It's a framework written in Ruby, and it has a server-client architecture. How the server is implemented is it's again another application for Android, and it has actually the framework code embedded into your application and will installed along with your applications into the device. It acts as a server. This test application which is installed in your device will act as a server, and you interact with your client through the code. It's through the HTTP or JSON protocol. And the coolest thing it has done is integrated with Cucumber. So Cucumber is actually one of the web-based ideologies implemented where you can write the BDD flow, and it has all the things like where you can generate the HTML reports, you can organize your test cases based on tags. So since it has inherited from the Cucumber, it gets all the advantages of it. And it only supports the Android and iOS platforms. Some of the advantage and disadvantages I have seen based on my experience is it has very well structured client framework compared to other tools. You can write the test cases from the day one, and it has very best utility functions where you can perform the touch operations and query the elements from the application. And it supports the backdoor operations where you can interact with the application code. I wouldn't recommend to use this feature providing by the Calabash, but if you have the complex test cases and you can't reproduce the scenario through the manual, so these backdoor operations will help you to hack the code and perform your test case. The disadvantage is you can't run the same production builds in iOS. You have to embed the Calabash framework code and build the application. And you have to use the Ruby programming language. So you have to learn Ruby to write the test cases in Calabash. And it will also force you to write test cases in given when then formats. If you don't like them, then you can't automate in Calabash. But we started using the BDD model and we like very much. Later we make them as our product specifications, executable product specifications, and it will help you when we are redesigning our applications. We found a lot of issues, lot of bugs on the application, the things missing in the product design through our existing test specifications. The next tool, what we are using is Appium. So why we are using Appium is, so when we started the test automation for the CAS platform, we actually think about only Android and iOS. We didn't think about the mobile web. And when after 1 year, after 2 years, I guess, we want to do the automation in mobile web, and we find that Calabash doesn't support. And the alternative tool we've seen is Appium. So what we are doing is, we're again using the same BDD model. So we are using the features and the step definitions we are writing for the Calabash, and we implemented the low-level code with the Appium, and we are executing these test cases. So what is Appium? Is a server written in the Node.js using the JavaScript. So it uses the platform provided frameworks under the hood. In Android, it uses the UI Automator. In iOS, it uses the UI automation, and for mobile web, it uses the Chrome driver. So it provides this using the JSON wire protocol. It will give you where you can write the web driver code similarly what you're using in Selenium. It supports the iOS, Android, mobile web, and hybrid applications. The advantage of the main advantage with Appium is the language freedom. You can write in any language what you want. Most of the languages it supports because it listens for the HTTP command. So you can write anything. You can write on any language and you can interact with Appium. Very good active community support. If you have any issues with the Appium, they will answer you. They will fix the issues. And you can use the same production builds for testing. One of the Appium philosophy. The main cons is a little bit buggy. It's still buggy. I mean, when we actually investigating the tools 2 years ago, we see that the Calabash is more stable than Appium. That's why we went with the Calabash. Over the last 2 years, Appium has improved a lot, but I still find that it's buggy. So far I discussed with why we should do the cross-platform and what are the cross-platform tools we have and how we develop our test suite. But the other challenging job is how we integrated with our CS servers, because the more you have the good integration with your continuous delivery, it will give you more feedback to instant feedback to the developers, and your automation will give you more value. So how we have done the continuous delivery? So what is continuous delivery? According to process gurus, continuous delivery is a practice of creating, testing, and releasing stable applications frequently in smaller chunks. How you develop the code from the product design to the release, and how the developers push the code to the repository. To make it shorter, continuous delivery is a combination of continuous integration and continuous test automation. Again, continuous integration is the configuration management, the repositories, and how you developers push the code into the in the repositories. In Badoo, we have a good designed continuous integration, which I'm not going to talk about now. What I'm going to talk about the how we integrated our test automation with the existing process. So, continuous test automation. So we follow the Git model, and most of the common practice is Git has a development branch where we push the code. So when we have a new feature to develop, we create the feature branch, and developer started implementing the code. So as the automation engineers, we started implementing the feature test. We started taking the product design and we started writing our test scripts. And then we read when the code is developed by the developers, we write the low level code. And once the ticket is ready for the QA to test, we run the feature test on the feature branch. The test cases what we prepared for the feature. But as a test automation principle, we should also run our regression test suite to make sure that it doesn't break the application. But running on the mobile needs a lot of resource and the time. For example, our test suite we prepared for the application takes 5 to 6 hours if you are running on single device, and takes a lot of time. So what we are doing is we running a smoke test suite on every feature is ready for QA. What it does is it's a kind of sanity check on the overall application, and it runs around 20 minutes. If both are green, then we will merge the ticket to the development branch. And we do the same process if we have the bugs we created on the application. And what we do with the system, the whole regression testing is that we run on every night. We make all the regression tests we run on the development branch on the different configurations, and when we come in the morning, we check the things are okay. If they're not okay, then we will report the issues. But this is the way we get the features into the development branch. And sometimes we merge a couple of features in the daytime on the development branch, and this makes the development branch unstable. So but as a continuous delivery practice, we need a stable branch to deliver. How we do is we created the master branch, which we call them as a stable branch, which is ready to release. And when we implemented the multiple features and put them into development branch, the next task is put these features back to the master. So what we do is we create an integration branch from the development branch. So far what the commits are done, and we test the integration of the features. So while the manual QA doing the exploratory testing on the integration branch, we call an integration test suite. We call them as integration test suite, and it's not the full system test suite. We tag the most important test cases for the whole application, which runs around 2 hours. And if the all these integration tests are okay, then we will merge it to the master. If any issues we reported on the development branch from the previous night, we mark them as integration bugs, and we make sure that developers are fixed in the integration branch before the things merge to master. So by using this process, we make sure that the master is always stable. And we repeat these things every time, and we merge the integration branches into master. And we want to release. We don't release from the master. What we do is we release we also run the nightly builds on the master to make sure that it doesn't break anything. Generally, we don't find any issues on the master because we always run the things on the development branch, but we also still run the master because it doesn't cost you much. And when we want to release, what we do is we create the release branch from the master, and we run the release test before we do the release branch. what is different between the full regression test suite and the release test is, release test has all the regression test suite we have, but we also, what we do is, we tag the sum of the test cases as release and will only run on the release branch. These test cases are very trivial scenarios. Even if they broke, it only make the trivial issues, or the test cases are never failed over the period of time. We mark them as release and we tag them as release and we run as part of the release branch. And sometimes we also have some flaky test cases, which how much you try to make them as stable, it never becomes stable. So we also run as part of the release branch, just to remove the overhead on every day when we are running the nightly builds in the dev and master. And we also fix the issues on the release branch after you do the stage rollout to the application to the users. We find some issues, and if you are fixing anything, then we run the release test again, and then we release the application. So that is about how we integrated our test automation project with our continuous integration. And this need to have integration with build servers. So I'm going to talk about how we scale our build infrastructure. So when we started the test automation and writing the test cases, we have only single build machine with Jenkins, and this machine has the Android and iOS configurations, and we run the test cases on the emulator and iOS simulator. And we used to run only these tests on the master branch every night. So the code will be checked out from the repository, and we used to run these test cases. But what we have today is, we have this beautiful set of rack with all our build agents. These are all Mac minis. We named them as like a Rocky Balboa, the one of the character from the Rocky. And then we connected. So what we are getting from today is that it's a distributed CA server with 12 Mac mini agents we have so far. So every request will be distributed to the Macs, and each agent is connected to Android and iOS devices. So we don't run them on the emulators because we find it's not stable. So we prefer running the test cases on the devices, and running the tests on the real devices. And we integrated with Jira. So whenever a ticket is moved to QA, and the Jira is automatically send the request to our build server, which runs our test cases. If the test cases are failure, it will give the feedback to the Jira, and Jira reopens the ticket and assign back to the developers. So how it looks like, this is our display unit we build up for our devices. So all the Mac mini agents are connected to these devices, and these things will run continuously. So we still have some challenges. What we want to do in future soon is we want to connect the more devices to each agent, and parallelizing our test suite. So right now, if we run the full regression test suite, it takes 6 hours to run the test suite. What we want to do is the parallelizing to the multiple devices, and make sure that our test suite runs like an half an hour. So we can run the full regression testing on every feature branch. And we want to use the VMs, virtual machines, instead of the physical Mac minis. So we can easily scale our build agents. The summary about the cross-platform test automation is, it's worth writing. My experience is worth writing the cross-platform test. What I have seen from experience is it is making sure that the application is behaving exactly the same in the different platforms. And the test automation tools are still evolving. They are not as matured as web tools. we still have some limitations and problems. For example, if you want to do the external applications integration, for example, you want to log into the Facebook application, or you want to take a picture from camera or gallery, the tools based on the instrumentation doesn't support this. And what we are doing at Badoo is we are integrating these tools with other tools which can support this, and we are doing the operations. Nevertheless, by doing the investment in Badoo, what we achieved is we reduced our release testing, the regression testing, to a day from 3 days. So we are saving the 66% of time for every release, which makes us to release frequently. So we triple the releases from 2 years back, and our applications are more stable. We reduced the crash rate from 6% to 2% from last year. And thank you for your attention. I am happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Sathish. I have 2 questions. First one is about how you measure your functional coverage.
Yeah.
And the second one, what devices do you use? How many? What kind of models and this stuff?
Yeah.
Screen sizes, all the stuff related to cross devices testing.
Yeah. I'll go to the second question where I'll show you the devices what we have. So we do the analysis from the Flurry or Hacky app, what are the most popular devices we are using by the users. So the most popular devices, top 10 devices, are the Samsung one. So we have all the Samsung models we have, the Galaxy S3, S4 and Note 3. And we also have the LG device. We're supposed to have the Sony, but we don't have it. And we have the Nexus 6 and Nexus 5. So we consider the different vendors, different Android versions, and different screen sizes. We also run the tablets and the iPad, but we run only 2 of them, because the number of users we have on these big tablets is 3% of the users. So we do care about most of the users we have, the devices what we have.
So for scalability, you will just buy more devices, yeah?
Yes. And we want to investigate the mobile cloud also, actually, whether we want to how we scalable. Actually, that is our next task, how do we scalable, whether we want to go with the mobile cloud or we want to scale our devices. But we prefer to scale our system rather than going into the mobile cloud, because when we find the issues, sometimes we want to grab the devices and see what happens. But we definitely may try the mobile cloud. So, first question is, how do we measure our functional testing? So before we start the test automation, we have the massive test cases we prepared in the test ride. So our first automation is to automate all our test cases. So what we do is every time we automate the test cases, we mark them as automated, and we are covering based on the functional coverage. But any new features are coming, we are not actually writing the new test cases, we are actually writing the BDD features, so we make sure that these are all actually automated. But the good thing is doing the code coverage. We have done the code coverage in iOS system, and we are doing the investigation for Android. We haven't started for mobile web. But the code coverage, the problem what we have is that our application code is also all the application code is have the single code base for both different applications. So it's very hard to find the code coverage for each application.
Thanks for the presentation. You said that you have integration with Jira, and my question is, do you open or reopen issues in Jira automatically?
We do reopen the issues automatically.
And how you handle situation if test fails by cause that is problem test, not in the real application?
So what we are doing is, one, we are doing the feature test and smoke test. Feature test we run the manually only and we investigate the issues. Smoke test suite we make the 100% stable, but what we do is we'll run the test cases first and we check if any test cases are failed because of the flakiness, and we rerun the same test cases and we reopen the tickets after the second rerun. The Cucumber has this feature. If you run the test cases and if you give the rerun file, it will give you all the test cases which are failed, and then you can rerun the same test cases. I mean, we are doing this mainly for Android and iOS. We haven't done for the mobile web.
Hello. I have a question. You mentioned about Monkey Talk, but you didn't say anything about how do you use this instrument in your test integration. So could you answer this question? How do you use it?
To be honest, I didn't use Monkey Talk before, but Monkey Talk is, we tried before Calabash, we actually tried using the Monkey Talk. But it's kind of data-driven model implemented based on the Monkey Talk. But I've seen that it's not very well active right now. It supports the platform, but Android and iOS platforms. But the community is not very active and it doesn't work very well. Like a gestures kind of things doesn't support by Monkey Talk.
Hello, thank you. Can you show a picture where your branch workflow?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If some test and release branch failed, would you rerun those tests from previous branches?
You mean from development master branch?
Yes, I mean if release tests failed, would you run integration tests or some unit tests for feature if you fixed in the release branch?
Yeah. So what we do is, if there is a issue in the release branch, we create the release ticket and we create the branch for the same tickets, and we run the smoke test suite, and if it's a feature, then we run the feature test case on that branch before it is merging to the release branch. We also have the release engineering, like what we have is called ADA. When the ticket is created as a release ticket and we fix it, it will merge to the release branch and master, and it merge to development also. And if you have the integration ticket, it will merge to integration branch and it will automatically merge to development branch.
Hello, I have a question about test run parallelizing. You said that you are going to parallelize test launches, and how are you going to do that? Do you plan to use some tools like Google Swarming or something like that?
The parallelizing the testings, the Cucumber has for web. They do the parallelization, but what it doesn't have for the mobile. So if you connect the multiple devices, if you are using Calabash, what you should give is the different server port for each device. So if you have 300 scenarios, what we should do is, what we want to try to achieve is that give each test case to each connected device and run the test case and get the reports back and merge at the end of the test suite is finished. But we are using the same, the Calabash. We are not using any Google instrumentation, because Calabash is also implemented based on the instrumentation.
So the calabash is able to do parallelization.
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah.
Ah.
We tested at least for Android. The parallelization is working, but we need to write some code to make everything is working. But the prototype is working fine. So we can do the parallelization at least in Android.
Okay, thank you. Another question about integration testing. Do you run any additional regression tests on master branch after merging integration branches into it?
We again run the same regression tests we have for the development branch. We run them as part of the nightly build, but we don't run after merging the integration branch into master.
So they run periodically independent of merging, committing or something else,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Ну что, если нет вопросов, давайте поблагодарим Сатиша. Thank you very much, Sathish.
Thank you very much. We are I'm probably available at yeah, we are there. We'll be there at our Badoo booth, and if you have any questions and talk to me, please come there. We can discuss. I'm happy to discuss. Thank you very much.